Okay, we're getting into some more challenging problems with elimination. So what happens in elimination where a variable doesn't cancel out right away and there's no easy number to just multiply by one line to get them to cancel out? So what you're going to have to do is actually multiply both lines or manipulate both lines. So what we're going to do in this case is let's talk about our strategy. So in the purple example, example 1, I have a negative 9x and a negative 8x. I want those to be the same number, one positive, one negative, so that they cancel out. The closest number that we're going to get there is going to be 72. I don't know about you, but I don't want to multiply and get higher numbers like that. Let's look at y, see if that's any better. I have a positive 3y and a negative 2y. Can you think of a number that 2 and 3 both go into equally? And so the lowest number that I can think of is 6, right? So what if I want this to be a positive 6, and I want this one to be a negative 6 so that they cancel out? If I do that, then I would have to multiply this entire line 2 to make that a positive 6. I have to multiply by 2, because isn't 3 times 2 a positive 6? And then also I'd have to multiply this entire line 1 by a 3 to make this a negative 6. Isn't a negative 2 times 3 a negative 6? So if I do that, I will get a positive 6 here and a negative 6 here, and then and only then will those be able to be canceled out. So this is where elimination may seem a little bit rough. But just stay organized, do one thing at a time. So here's our new line 1. So I'm going to rewrite our new line 1. And this is after I'm multiplying every single term on both sides of the equal sign by 3. Because we were taking a step back, looking forward at our y's, and seeing, hey, we need both of these to be a 6. One positive, one negative. Now, negative 9x times 3 is negative 27x. Negative 2y times 3 is a negative 6y. And then this is equal to negative 24. Now, what about my new line 2? So my new line 2, after I distribute or multiply each term by 2, I'm going to get a negative 16x plus 6y equals 24. All right, so I multiplied line 1 by 3, I multiplied line 2 by 2, so that I would have a negative 6y and a positive 6y, so that when I go and combine these cancel out. So our goal worked. We got rid of one variable. Now let's again just go and add straight down each column. So negative 27x minus a 16x is going to give me a negative 43x. These were canceled out, and so equals negative 24, positive 24, that is 0. So remember, 0 is a number. Don't let the 0 freak you out. To get x by itself, you divide by negative 43, both sides, so that those are gone, and I get x equals 0 divided by anything is 0. So x equals 0. Now remember, that is not a solution yet, but 0 is a number. We have half of our coordinate point. We have 0, comma, something. We need to know what that something is. We want to know what y equals. It doesn't matter if you use line 1 or 2. It's easier to go back to your original equation so you don't have higher numbers. But I'm going to replace x with 0, and again, doesn't really matter. Because y is positive here, I'm just going to choose line 2. If you chose line 1, you'd get the same answer. And so I'm going to use this line 2. And so using line 2 from above, I'm going to replace everywhere I have an x with 0. So this is negative 8 times 0 plus this 3y equals this positive 12. Now, negative 8 times 0, anything times 0 is 0, so those are gone. So that's 0. So now I have 3y equals 12. So to get that by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And so I get that y equals 4. Now we have our solution. If we were to graph these, we would get 0, comma 4. And so that is what we're going to write as our final answer. So 0, comma 4. Okay, it takes practice. You just have to do a few example problems to kind of see. Let's take a look at number 2 here in the blue. So we have line 1, line 2, just to try to stay organized somewhat. Now, trying to figure out, all right, what is the smallest number a 5 and an 8 can go in? That's 40. So you'd have to multiply this by, maybe a -8, multiply this by a 5 to get a -40 and a +40. Those are kind of higher numbers. What about the y's again? Actually, 12 would work here, right? If I multiplied 6 by 2, I could get a 12. And if I multiplied 4 by 3, I could get a 12. So let's go ahead and try to get both of these equal to 12, keeping in mind that we would need one positive and one negative. So let's just multiply to get the top line to be a -12. So in order to do that, if I have a +6 and I want that to be a -12, I'm going to multiply by -2. Let's just do that. So times -2. And then line 2, if I want this to be a +12, because that's going to be my -12, I'm going to multiply this line by a +3 to make that equal to 12. All right, let's see what we have. So we have our new line 1. After I distribute or multiply each term by a -2, I'm going to get a -10x minus 12x, or minus 12y, that was our goal, equals, and this is a +38. Now my new line 2, after I multiply each term by 3, I'm going to get a 24x plus 12y equals -24. So multiplying each term by 3. What happens is that my y's cancel out. I have a +12y and a -12y. So those are gone. That was our goal. Our goal was to eliminate one variable. So we got rid of y. If it would have been easier to get rid of the x's, you would have just gotten rid of the x's. Now let's see what we have. A -10x plus this 24x is going to give me a 14x, and that's positive, equals 38 minus this 24 is going to give me a 14. So just so happens that after I divide by 14, I get that x equals 1. Again, that's just half of the answer. We have 1 comma something. We need to know what that something is. So I know that my solution is going to be 1 comma something, but I don't know what that is yet. So this is my answer, but I only have half of my answer. So I have the x, I need the y. Now again, going back to our original lines, 1 and 2, just pick the one that you feel is easiest to deal with. And so I'm just going to do line 1. So I'm going to take this line 1, and my line 1, instead of 5 times x, I'm going to replace x with 1, because we found that x equals 1, and I'm trying to figure out what y equals. Plus, I have 6y here, equals a -19. So 5 times 1 is 5, so I get that 5 plus 6y equals -19. And now to solve, I'm going to subtract, because this is a +5 from both sides. Be careful with your negatives here. You get a 6y equals, this is a -24. So when I divide both sides by 6, and if you have a calculator, use that to help you. You're allowed to use a calculator on the ACT, so you may as well get used to using it. We have that y equals a -24 divided by 6 is a -4. So if we were to graph these or solve it another way, we would get 1 comma -4.